Good evening. My name is Brian Grzymkowski. I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Graduate Admissions here at William Paterson University. First and foremost, I'd like to take a moment just to thank all of you for joining us this evening for our Biology and Biotechnology webinar. We're very happy to be able to offer this presentation to you in this format. I know we have a couple individuals who are out of state. We also have a couple individuals who are joining us from other countries this evening. So we hope that this gives you the opportunity to sit back, learn more about our program, learn more about William Paterson University, and the many offerings that we have here for students who are interested in these particular programs. There are a few things I want to make sure you're aware of before we jump right into our presentation. First, I want to make sure you know that we're going to be having an open house actually this coming Sunday, the 21st, and it's going to be taking place from 1 to 3 o'clock, and wanted to let you know ahead of time that these departments are going to be represented at that open house. So it's a great opportunity to follow up on this, to meet with members of the biology department face-to-face, talk about your interests, talk about the different opportunities here. So if you are free on Sunday, it's certainly our hope that you'll join us for our open house. The other thing I want to make sure you're aware, obviously a lot of information is going to get passed around during the course of this presentation, and I want to make sure you know that you have the ability to download this presentation in its entirety in a PDF format right under the handouts tab there on GoToWebinar, and that'll give you the opportunity, if you join us a little bit late, if you miss something, to click back and catch up on all the information you might need, contact information, etc. So certainly keep that in mind too. But with that being said, I'll stop there, and I want to make sure I introduce Dr. Michael Peak, who's going to be walking through this presentation. So Michael, take it away.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thanks certainly to the College of Admissions for sponsoring this and putting it all together, and thanks to all the people from this local area as well as the adjoining states, and seems like in a couple different countries. So thank you for taking the time out to hear about our master's program. So if you don't know too much about William Paterson University, we're a medium-sized university that is about 20 miles outside of the New York City metropolitan area. And so those advantages of being close enough to the city but yet just outside offer quite a valuable experience for a master's education. We're about 45 minutes away from some very rural areas, including the Delaware Water Gap. So if you like the city, there's a little bit of that there, as well as some very nice rural things to do in our area. We're housed in the College of Science and Health, which has about 250,000 square feet in a recently renovated science complex that you see in front of you. The biology department takes up quite a bit of that space, and with this presentation I'd like to tell you a few things about our programs. Excuse me, I'm trying to get to the next slide here. There we go. A few things about our programs, what they have to offer. I'll walk you through just briefly about our curriculum, and probably most importantly tell you about our research and facilities that we have to offer to enhance your educational experience. You might be interested to know also what you could do with a master's degree, and so we'll talk a little bit about careers, and then finally how you get in and how you might be able to pay for your graduate education. Throughout most of the slides, what you'll notice is there is a link at the bottom to web pages that are on our biology site, and you can find out more information on those sites as well. So here in the biology department, we offer two programs. Both are Master of Science programs. One is a biology program, which is a 30-credit master's program with both a thesis and a non-thesis option. The other program that we offer is a 36-credit biotechnology degree, and again we offer both a thesis and a non-thesis option. Basically the distinction between those two is that the non-thesis option is primarily coursework. So you come into the master's degree with the sole function of gaining a little bit more experience, a little bit more knowledge base by taking graduate level classes. The thesis is a research-oriented program where it's designed to give you an independent and novel research experience that potentially is publishable in primary literature. So for those of you that might be interested in pursuing a thesis, it's a good idea to have at least a faculty or a few faculty members in mind that you might consider working with that are in your areas of interest, because it's important to get a thesis proposal put together relatively quickly so that you can develop your project and finish in a timely manner. With that said, about most of our students finish in about 2 years. I've seen a few cases where whether you're in a biology or biotechnology program, you can finish in about 1.5 years, but most of our students finish in about 2 years. You'll notice that we offer a diversity of courses, from the technical courses that the biotechnology program offers to more theoretically based courses to give you an enhanced knowledge base, to more applied courses in the areas of parasitology and histology and animal physiology. So one of the last major benefits that I'll talk about today on this slide is that we have a relatively small program. And so what you'll find in our classes is that the average class size is about 10 students, so you get quite a bit of one-on-one interaction, and you get to know our faculty quite well. So with that being said, I'd like to highlight some of the things that we think are strengths of our program and give you examples of some of those strengths. So whether you choose a thesis option or a non-thesis option, or either one of the programs, I think we can give you and offer valuable research experiences. We can certainly increase your knowledge base by the diversity of courses that we offer, and we can certainly prepare you for the workforce. So let me just give you an example of each one of these. So Alex is shown here with a little arrow pointing to her head. She was a biology master's student about 2 years ago, and she was a coursework master's student, but she was interested in hands-on research, and so her ultimate goal was to finally get into a PhD program, which she was successful at Kent State. But while she was at William Paterson, she took a lot of our neuroscience and neurophysiology courses, and in our mouse facilities, she got some valuable hands-on experience in handling vertebrate organisms, including mice. And then she also was able to increase her research experiences by performing various surgeries on those mice and doing sectioning techniques with some of her research experiences. And so we're proud to see that she's moved on to Kent State to do her PhD to look at the myelin reforming in the brain under the umbrella of multiple sclerosis. The next option is, or the next value that we have, is to increase your knowledge base. And so about 1/3 of our students are interested in this sort of pathway that Dimitri was interested in, and that is to increase their skill set for applying to a medically related health field. And so Dimitri came to us as a coursework master's student in the biology program with the goal of attending a professional school related to health. And so he went on to the University of Bridgeport College of Chiropractic Medicine, and he is currently a practicing chiropractor in the northern New Jersey Paterson area. And then finally, Marilyn was actually a thesis student, and she did her thesis on bats, and so went out and went to the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge here in northern New Jersey, collected bats, did a study on their roosting habitat, and ultimately got a job as a wildlife biologist at the Wallkill River National Wildlife Refuge. So we have 3 sort of strengths along with a small program that can sort of give you an enhanced resume for your career preparations. So with that said, I'd like to get into some of the details of the two programs, specifically the curriculum. So the biology curriculum is probably one of the most flexible that we have, and if you choose the thesis option, it basically has 3 required courses. The first course that you see there, Research Methods in Biology, that is an applied course that would teach you statistics and experimental design. The thesis research is 6 credits worth of you actually signing up to do the research that you plan to do. And then we also require a seminar-style course. So you can choose from one of 3 seminars that we offer in molecular biology, organismal biology, or ecology. And basically those courses are all on the similar vein of reading and dissecting and analyzing primary literature. So that would be the thesis option. Again, I would encourage you, if you're interested in pursuing a thesis, that you come in knowing that you want to do a thesis and have a mentor, at least open line of communication with a mentor or 2, so that you can hit the ground running with your thesis. The non-thesis degree looks very similar in that we require that research methods course, we require the seminar, and then the additional thing that's different than the thesis is that we require an independent course. And so this is a one-on-one mentorship through independent study or independent reading. And so this would be your capstone course that you can choose to either do an experiment through independent study or do a literature review on an area of your choice. And so this is a way in which you can demonstrate your knowledge and your interest in a capstone experience. The remaining credits for both the thesis and the non-thesis biology degrees can be filled with a variety of elective courses. And so again, we offer quite a diverse suite of courses, again with very small class sizes, and they range from applied to the biotechnology courses that we offer, to the theoretically based courses, to the more applied human physiology or virology type courses. So I know that's kind of small, but just to give you an idea of the types of courses that we offer. And again, just because you're in the biology program does not exclude you from taking any of the biology courses, and that goes for the biotechnology degree as well, as long as you have the prerequisites in order to do well in those courses. So moving on to the biotechnology curriculum, this is a more structured master's degree, and it's more tailored towards technique-oriented wet lab courses. So what you'll see in front of you are a series of 6 courses: molecular biology, DNA, cell culture, gene expression, and proteins, and then that final seminar course that is required for biotechnology master students. The first course in molecular biology is the prerequisite for most of those more advanced courses, and that is the theoretical basis for much of what you'll learn in, say, your DNA or your gene expression course. The biotechnology program also has a thesis option, and again, we would encourage you to try to hit the ground running if you're interested in doing a thesis research. The non-thesis option has that independent component, very similar to the biology degree, where you can choose to do an independent study or an independent reading, and generally those are mutually agreed upon between you and a mentor, and that's a nice one-on-one experience that you get in your coursework. The elective courses for the biotechnology curriculum are a little bit more limited, and partly because the curriculum is a little bit more structured, but you can see some of the courses that you're able to take as electives to fill out that 36 credit master's requirement. So with the curriculum issues out of the way, I think what I'll do is I'll spend the majority of the time sort of boasting and highlighting sort of the things that we do and the facilities and the opportunities that you might be able to have here at William Paterson if you choose to come here. We divide our faculty into a couple different strengths. What I'll do is I'll talk about 3 strengths: ecology, evolution, physiology and behavior, and molecular biology. And what I've done is I've listed the faculty that are associated with those sorts of strengths. And you may see a few names pop up in multiple locations, highlighting the fact that biology is very interdisciplinary, and a lot of us do lots of different things. So I might not talk about every one of us, but I'll try to highlight some of the cool research that we're doing, as along with some of the nice facilities that we have. So why not start with me? So the Peak Lab is interested in plant ecology, particularly the physiology of plants, and in particular for the past 10 years or so we've been working on the beach, studying coastal ecology, particularly the grass in that upper picture, American beach grass, and its ability to stabilize dunes and dune systems. So I've been taking students with me to the beach for a while, and I also do experiments in that lower picture in our probably 3,000 square foot greenhouse, where we have some nice collections as well as research space. So you can see a couple students there measuring photosynthesis on some of our beach grass plants. In the Risley lab, Lance Risley is another ecologist. He's more of a conservation ecologist, and his study organism of choice is bats. And so his research focuses on studying the effects of aviation and bat populations. So every summer he takes a slew of students down to the Federal Aviation Administration down in Atlantic City to collect and census bat populations. He's also had master students work on the Indiana bat, which is a rare species, and then he also dabbles in the white nose syndrome that you may have heard about recently, that is killing off some of our bat populations. In the Spania lab, Spania is more of a lab scientist, but has interests in both ecology and evolution. And so he's interested in spiders, so he's our resident entomologist. And in particular, he uses spiders as a model system to look at biomechanics and motion. So what you see from his lab are taking high-speed camera images of spiders running and jumping, and using that information to generate phylogenies and infer relatedness to look at the taxonomy of various spiders and arthropods. A big component of what we do here at the university is take students to research conferences, and so what you see there is one of Joe's master students presenting at a recent conference. So moving on to physiology and behavior, I've combined 3 labs here, Bob Benno, Jong-Un Lee, and Emmanuel Onaivi into one, primarily because they use the mouse as a model system to study various things. And so what we have at William Paterson is a vivarium, and that vivarium houses a number of different organisms, including mice, where we don't have any cage charges, and we have a dedicated mouse technician, as well as several different faculty studying various aspects of animal physiology and behavior. So for example, Bob Benno recently has a mouse strain that mimics autistic symptoms in humans, and so he's doing sort of behavioral analysis in this mouse model to study autism. Dr. Lee is one of our neurophysiologists, and he looks at the behavioral responses and the physiological responses to mouse's response to pain. And then Dr. Onaivi is very interested in drug abuse, and so he is in the works developing a knockout mouse that is that does not have cannabinoid receptors in the brain, And one of our pride and joys is this mouse lab, because not that many students get the opportunity to gain such surgical techniques as well as mouse handling techniques in such detail. Moving on, Sonia Bierbauer is a new faculty member here. She also works with a mouse as the model system, but she's interested in something that's very timely with football and soccer and baseball with CTE and brain injuries. And so she uses mice to study both the physiology and the behavior of traumatic brain injuries using a mouse model. So what you see here is them looking at a confocal image of some brain scans. Dr. Gilly is someone that studies social insects, in particular honeybees. He has two apiaries, one that's housed in our science building, and the other one is housed very close to campus. But he's interested in looking at bees as social insects. In particular, he studies how bees find and return with rewards, nectar, and pollen, and he uses that little waggle dance to look at different chemical substances as pheromones to try to see how those insects respond in their behavior. I think last but not least in the physiology section, Jayshree Menon uses Xenopus laevis, the tadpoles, to study metamorphosis. And she used a variety of immunohistochemistry techniques as well as confocal microscopy in order to look at metamorphosis, in particular the reformation of the gut from the transition from the tadpole to the frog. And so we use various gel imaging techniques for DNA, RNA, and proteins using those frogs as a model system. And then finally, we have our largest number of faculty that are interested in molecular biology and biotechnology. And so we have two dedicated biotechnology laboratories. One of those laboratories is dedicated to cell and tissue culture, which makes that nice because of sterile conditions. But we have instrumentation and lab space to do various centrifuge techniques as well as PCR, real-time and quantitative PCR. And two of our molecular biologists are working on developing the in the news CRISPR techniques for gene editing. So that sounds pretty exciting. In particular, Kendall Martin works in a variety of different areas with regards to microbes. So more recently, he's been working on gut microbes with looking at how different gut bacteria change with diet and things, and he's been using a mouse model. But he has also worked in soils, looking at microbes in the soil and different forest ecosystems. And so PCR, particularly quantitative PCR, not only identifying what's in the soil or what's in your gut in terms of microbiome, but also how much is there is the focus of his research. The Monroe Lab is, she's our one genomics expert. She looks at an organism called Karenia brevis, which is a marine dinoflagellate. And these marine dinoflagellates are pretty important because they produce toxins in marine systems that can cause fish kills and can cause irritations to people swimming in these areas. So she uses our confocal microscope to look at expression of different compounds as well as transcriptomes, which you see down below, to try to figure out which genes are turning on and off and what triggers those genes to turn on and off to trigger the production of these chemical toxins. The Peknaik Lab works on an interesting study organism that causes African sleeping sickness, so Trypanosome brucei, and he's interested in studying both DNA replication, but also transcription and translation on an important disease in our society. And then finally, I can't say, I can't leave Dr. Slaymaker out because I've roped him into working with me on the beach. And so he uses his molecular biology expertise to study beach grass with me. So basically what he does is takes some of these beach grass clones, and we do DNA fingerprinting, and we try to find out how many individuals there are in these clonal populations. So it has sort of conservation aspects. But before he started working with me, he worked on soybean with the molecular basis of these plant pathogen interactions. So hopefully I've highlighted some of the research and some of the facilities that we have here at William Paterson. And so then what can you sort of do with all of that after you spend about 2 years or so obtaining a master's degree? Now, I could sort of list all of the different jobs that you could get, or going to a PhD program, or becoming a lab technician, or other things. But what I thought I would do is tell you what our recent graduates are doing. So what you see in front of you are icons that I've lifted from various corporations where our graduates are actually working. And they range from those jobs that you could potentially get. You could be a lab technician at one of the pharmaceutical companies that are in northern New Jersey, or one of the biotech startups that are in northern New Jersey. You could be in education, you could go into research, or you could do something that's sort of tangentially related. So for example, we have a couple people working at Femto and Science Exchange working in sales. So that knowledge base that you have with the biology or biotechnology degree, you can use to promote products for various companies. But I think all of you may have heard of LabCorp. If you go to the doctors and you get blood drawn, you probably get it done by LabCorp. So we have a microbiologist working at LabCorp. Merck, the big pharmaceutical company, we have a graduate working there on vaccine production. And then we have various quality control technicians that are working at Progenitor, Becton Dixon, and LifeCell. And so what I think William Paterson can offer are examples of successful students that have obtained their master's degrees and gone out to a variety of these institutions and are doing what they were trained to do. North Jersey, although is not a mecca for the big pharmaceuticals anymore, like Merck and Johnson & Johnson, most of those companies have moved their research and development overseas. But there are over 300 startups, and so many of the biotech firms now contract most of their wet lab work out to these very smaller firms, and many of them are located here in northern New Jersey. A couple of our students have gone on to PhD programs, so Eastern Carolina University and the one I alluded to earlier at Kent State, but we also send people to Rutgers, the School of Health Sciences. We have a variety of educators at all levels, from middle school to high school, so I just listed a few examples of North Warren and Plainfield public schools. And then we have a master's student at Columbia that is a lab manager. So she works for a PI at Columbia, and with her research experience, she's able to not direct her own research, but direct a lab and organize a lab and all the experiments at Columbia University. And I don't want to leave out the opportunities to go to professional school. We heard about Dimitri earlier on in the presentation, but we send students to optometry school, to vet school, as well as various medical schools. So hopefully that gives you an idea of some things that you could potentially do with a master's degree with the diversity of faculty that we have and the good research facilities that we have. So how do you get in? So lastly, I'll talk about how you get in, what we require for admission, as well as how you might be able to pay for it. So most of our applicants already have a biology degree, a bachelor's biology degree. But if you don't have a bachelor's biology degree, what we do look for is at least a bachelor's degree with some foundation in biology, and that's approximately 16 credits of biology, including some core courses in general biology, genetics, cell biology, evolution, things like that. But then with the biology degree, we also require some co-requirements like chemistry, physics, and mathematics. And then in particular for the biotech program, we want to make sure that you have at least a strong foundation in molecular biology. So genetics might do that for you, or a course in biochemistry or organic chemistry might give you that strong foundation in molecular biology. We require of all applicants a 3.0 on the standard 4.0 scale, and we also require the GRE, however that can be waived. For exceptional applicants, for example, and under special circumstances, so for example, for all William Paterson University students, we waive the GRE if they meet certain GPA requirements. The last piece of requirement that you'll need for your application are 2 letters of reference, and hopefully one of those would at least describe your academic potential. And so for the couple international students that we have listening, you would be required to have all of the above plus your translated marks so that we can interpret those on a 4.0 scale, as well as the English language proficiency test, for which the TOEFL is one example. So lastly, how can you be supported? We offer a limited number of competitive graduate assistantships. Those assistantships are given to research-oriented students. They don't have to be thesis students, but they're students that are interested in doing research. So preference is given to them. So you would either get preference by doing a thesis or working with a faculty mentor in their research. That requires 20 hours per week as a time commitment. In return, you get a stipend and tuition remission that goes along with that. As a sort of special case, we have the ability to hire our current master's students as adjunct teachers. Now, most institutions require that you already have a master's degree in order to be, say, a TA or even teach at community college. And so we've arranged with our administration to allow the in-progress master's students the ability to teach some of our lower level courses. For example, you could teach anatomy and physiology. We put some of you in our general biology courses, as well as some of our non-majors courses that we offer here at the undergraduate level. You can teach up to 6 credits a semester, and so that can wind up to be a significant amount of money to sort of help you pay for tuition. So the adjunct teaching positions don't come with tuition remission, but they do come with the standard per credit adjunct pay. So those are the 2 ways in which you can financially support yourself. And with that, I'll leave my part of the presentation with a virtual business card. So there's my information. You can always find my information on the web, and I believe the webinar sort of gives you contact information for me as well. So I hope you found this webinar informative, and I believe now I will conclude my part of the webinar and turn it back over to the admissions office and to Brian.
Thank you very much, Michael. I just want to reiterate two things quick as we get ready to wrap this up. First, if you did join us late for the webinar today, if you missed any of the slides, you'll see right under the handout section of the GoToWebinar screen, there's the opportunity to download this presentation now in its entirety. So that gives you the opportunity, obviously, this virtual business card here, as well as some other contact information, and anything you might have missed would be available to you. So certainly feel free to download it now. If you do have any questions, I would encourage you to take a moment now to type them in the box. But during the course of the presentation, I did see that we had a question or two come through. So Michael, the first question, and you did touch upon certainly the GRE scores a little bit, but is there any type of a set minimum for your department? Is there a cutoff for a student who's considering applying?
We don't actually have a cutoff for a GRE score. Basically what we do is we take the application as a whole. So we'll certainly look at the GRE scores to determine percentile ranks, but then we also look at the GPA, the performance in particular courses. For example, the biotechnology degree, we'll look for strong marks in organic chemistry and genetics, as well as the strength of the letters that are written for you. So we take the application as a whole in that respect.
Thank you. And then there's another question sort of related, I know, especially with some international students showing an interest in the program and taking part in the webinar today. Are there any other alternate tests that might be accepted in lieu of a GRE score?
Yes, there are. About a third of our students, like I said, about a third of our students are interested in pursuing professional, health professional degrees. So things like dental school or optometry school or medical school. And so if you've taken the MCATs or if you've taken the DAT exam, we will substitute those types of tests for the GRE.
And then one student was interested, you mentioned that you've been working with beach grass and spending time down by the beach. How did that interest in particular generate for you and now for your colleague?
So I was trained as a desert ecologist, and in particular, I like to study roots. And so coming to the Northeast, which is a wetter environment, and looking at roots below ground in their habitat is very difficult, and the best way to do it is in sand. And so I sort of got into or interested in beach grass in that way for the ease, but then, you know, this is unfortunate to say, but some of the storms that we've had, including Hurricane Sandy, have really sort of emphasized the importance of coastal systems and dunes in particular, and their resistance and resilience to disturbance. And so we've been looking, our research program has been sort of taken off, and we've been looking at all kinds of different aspects of the physiology, the growth. When I have a master's student right now that looks at a fungal endophyte and its influence on how this particular plant lives and thrives on those dunes.
Great, thank you very much. It looks like that's it for our questions as of right now. I just want to let everyone know we are going to make ourselves available. We're going to stick around for a couple minutes. If you do think of any other questions, feel free to type them. We'll be sure to answer them one by one as they come in. But for all of us here in the Graduate Admissions Office, I can't thank all of you again for taking time out of your schedule to join us. It's certainly our hope that this format was helpful for you. Michael, thank you so much for your presentation, and obviously for all of us, please don't hesitate to contact the Grad Admissions Office. Stop by if you have any questions about the application process. If you can join us for our open house on Sunday, we'd love the chance to speak with you in person. And again, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful evening.